Devar,
Yes?
we're going to piss off a lot of people today.
Really?
Yes, I'm afraid it is going to happen. It is inevitable. It is inevitable.
I'm sorry, just thinking of Omadon. But it's inevitable that we piss people off.
Yes, so are you going to say it, or am I going to say it?
Choo-choo! All aboard the Piss Everyone Off train!
And with that said, let's talk about Mobile Suit Gundam Wing.
Gundam sucks.
Oh boy, we really started well, didn't we?
That is all that needs to be said. It's the end of the podcast.
Okay, perhaps we should, expand on that thought. Maybe, perhaps.
Do we have
to? I'm afraid we have. We had like somewhere around 40 to 50 minutes to fill, so I guess it would be a good idea to discuss about more in detail why this particular show, isn't very good.
Yeah, why is it so fondly remembered as a classic?
Actually, Devar, this is where I step in a very, very super serious tone.
Okay.
In fact, I'm going to be so serious, could you possibly, improvise an appropriate ambience music to accompany my very serious statement that I'm about to state?
As in, like, violins?
Something like that. Come on. Anyway, that'll be enough, thank you. Okay, American fans of Gundam Wing. I understand you. I get it. I really do. And this is only from my humble perspective as a European, specifically an Italian, whose own generation experienced the anime boom in 1978. We had tons of giant anime robots all at once in our. I cannot speak for Divar here that lives in English land or whatever place it is, but from my standpoint, from an Italian standpoint, we had giant robots ever since 1978, and we never ever stopped having them. So when Mobile Gundam Suit Wing, reverse the last where we did, Gundam Wing came out in 1995 or a little later, nobody really cared about it, because we already had like 1 million Gundam series already. And all that, but guys, American guys, American fans of Gundam Wing, I understand why you like Gundam so much, because with all probability, for many of you, that was the very first exposure to giant robots. That makes sense, right, Navar?
Yes, it should make sense, considering the Americans.
It came. You had the anime boom later, like in the early 2000s.
Yeah, so I say late 90s to early 2000s for us English people.
Yeah, yes, you had Americans. You had, before that, some random OVA in VHS format might be thrown around and seen occasionally. Then they were occasionally inspired a couple of directors to make The Matrix. But the point is, for many of you, and I'm just assuming here, Gundam Wing might have been the very first exposure to a giant robot anime, and also an epic narrative revolving on high philosophical concepts. So I can understand you why you, blinded by your nostalgia goggles, are seeing this show as an all-time classic and you love it. I understand it. I even encourage you to love the things you're fond of. That's great and everything. But that still doesn't change the fact that Gundam Wing is a pile of vomit on a pancake. It's a turd. It's a turd. It's a it's a mountain. It's a singing mountain of poo, throwing feces at a squirrel.
Mr. Hankey's throwing poo at squirrels?
No, I was referencing the I am the great mighty Gundam, and I'm going to throw my shit at you. And now that we legitimately pissed you off for insulting your beloved childhood classic, allow us to elaborate why it is terrible, and you should feel bad in liking it. Not that you really should, but in case you change your mind, yes, be ashamed of yourselves.
So sit back, relax, and enjoy the seething in anger at us complaining about Gundam. Thank you for watching. Ding!
And if you have something negative to say about it, I remind you there is a very practical comment section right below this video whenever you're watching. So yes, visit it. Let out your anger.
Yes, let the anger and hate flow through you.
We're not trolls, by the way.
No.
Just so you know.
No, I like to think that I like people to say what they like, as long, but I think we're free to say why we dislike something like that.
Now, before we start talking proper about Gundam Wing and its reign of suckage, let's talk about Japanese space opera.
Oh, dear Lord.
Okay, there seems to be this trend in Japanese space opera that seems to rely heavily on characters soliloquying.
Okay, soliloquying.
Soliloquying, monologuing, talking to themselves, either moving their lips and spouting things, or maybe having an inner monologue right in the middle of something they might be doing instead. And I'm something about saying what you're going to do instead of just doing it, or maybe spouting some philosophical nonsense about war and life and fate, and maybe if we were against each other, we might have been friends, the two of us who are fighting right now in giant robots, and all that kind of quote unquote deep philosophical stuff that's completely undermined by violating every single rules of the show don't tell rulebook for visual media. Because when you watch a space opera, you're not just watching epic sci-fi action and storytelling. You're also assisting to a lecture in philosophy, and that not only comes off as pretentious, but also incredibly empty. Not to mention that having all the characters telling us how they feel pain and how they had to do something they don't want to do because it is war, instead of actually showing their struggle or showing us their pain. That's not how you do, good storytelling. Not just in visual media, in all kinds of media. It's embarrassing and painful to look at.
Rule number 1 of storytelling: show, don't tell.
That's what I've been saying for the past 15 minutes, but yes. And you know what? And the problem is that trend is the most annoyingly persistent trend in Japanese storytelling of the last 30 years. Films are still made like this, with the pretense that having characters standing around spouting exposition that makes no sense, or empty philosophical knowledge, instead of actually doing the things they were going to do, is something that still happens in modern Japanese science fiction. just this year we had the reboot of Cyborg 009, which was a franchise known for being about General CNS cyborgs fighting against invaders and all a series of action and silliness. And then the film was basically a clone of Ghost in the Shell with the intelligence of the Matrix trilogy. It's one of the worst things the worst reboot ever made. And yes, you have something to add on that.
I was just trying to think, because you just summed up most of the problems I had with Gundam. Basically, everyone just wouldn't shut up. Effectively, they're like,
and the best part is we haven't even started talking about Gundam Wing yet.
that's the sad thing, isn't it? We haven't started talking about it, have we? Properly. It's like
Gundam Wing is kind of the foster child. It's kind of the prime example of that trend, going completely overboard with it in a context that makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. The show had a million problems already. That one very specific trope of the tell-don't show, typical of Japanese space opera, is only ironic. It is only the peak of the iceberg of the many problems that show had. Just okay. Imaging the bar.
Yeah.
Help me out with this. Let's revisit a random scene from the show. Okay.
Okay.
So imagine this.
Yeah.
You're a pilot. Okay.
Yeah.
You're on board a Gundam, okay, or other up to name robots no one cares about.
Ooh, do I get a Gundam stewardess?
Sure, whatever it is, why not? I don't care. So you're piloting the Gundam, okay? Okay, in the part.
Yeah.
You're focused.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm in the part. I'm a Gundam. I mean, I'm a pilot in a Gundam.
You're a pilot inside a Gundam. You're defending the Earth from the invading space colony.
Space Colony 269 of the 257th year, gotcha.
Because, let us remind you, there are no real enemies in Gundam. There are only people on different sides. Except when there are completely random enemies introduced for the sake of having antagonists. But that's another point altogether. So, you're a pilot again.
Yeah.
Pretend to be a pilot, to do something piloty.
Okay, I'm flying around going.
Yeah, I wish that's all you're doing, but no, because while you're preparing yourself for doing battle, or maybe even better, in the midst of battle, you suddenly begin monologuing.
I started to realize that Madhog wanted me to monologue about something, but I just did not know. I was suffering with all the pain, and just what did Madhog want me to say? I just want to be friends.
And while you're distracted monologuing, somebody hits you with a giant space lightsaber, and you're suddenly missing an arm. How do you react?
I continue to monologue to myself.
Yes, what do you say to yourself?
I say, "Oh damn, he cut my arm."
And then you proceed to tell us in great details how does it feel to not have an arm anymore. And you spend like 5 minutes like this.
It's like I've lost a best friend who used to butter me toast every morning.
Yes, I think you may have lost the only woman who ever loved you. With your right arm.
Because Gundam pilots don't get any dates because no one wants to see a crying pilot.
No, because you lost your right hand. Because the right hand.
Yes, I know, but I was trying to make a jokes. Well, never mind.
We're making fun of Gundam. We are not required to have standards.
Yeah.
Anyway, so what happens is, okay, you're about to die. Your enemy have like reduced you to a cripple. It had cut off all your arms while you were busy monologuing.
Yeah.
At this point, what happens? Instead, the enemy, instead of doing the sensible thing and killing you on the spot, he starts dialoguing with you.
In a words, does a Wesker.
And here's the best part. With the sole power of dialoguing, the soul of epic sci-fi space opera dialoguing, he is able to communicate with you without even opening a communication channel on the robots, because it is the power of manly dialoguing,
And verbal diarrhea.
Okay, so he started telling you, you were a most honorable foe. If only we were enemies in this. If only we weren't enemies, maybe in the next life we can be friends. And then you answer. What would you answer in that situation?
I'm trying to remember really what a typical Gundam answer to that would be.
You probably comment something about war never changing and all that.
It's an endless cycle of people dying.
Yes, that's perfect. That summarizes Gundam. That summarizes any Japanese space opera revolving giant robots ever made perfectly.
Over-romanticizing the entire thing, essentially.
Yes, that was generalization, but that's basically how an entire episode can play out in Gundam Wing. It doesn't matter how funny or how pretentiously funny, how not funny at all, how exaggerated we can be in making our parodies. The show is pretty much like that. We cannot possibly render justice to its idiocy. It's like watching a completely straight-faced parody of every anime ever made, except it's not accidentally funny for the most part. It's just incredibly boring. So that's one flaw of Gundam Wing. Now let's talk about. Okay, Davar.
Yeah.
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
How much money does it cost to animate people's faces?
Oh, for a single frame, but probably about $1,000 a time.
Yeah, that's the only. It has to be an incredibly expensive thing to do, complicated to do. That's the only explanation why every single character in the show didn't have a single shred of human expressions on their faces. It's almost as if they were all robots.
Yeah, like mannequins.
Yes, mannequins, completely unable to show human emotions with their facial expressions. I mean, it's ridiculous. Who animated this? Tommy Wiseau? Seriously, it's imagine. Okay, so there is this girl, the main female lead. Okay.
Yeah.
Her father dies right in front of her eyes. Okay.
Yeah.
It's a tragedy. Okay.
Yeah, a tragedy. There should be lots of tears, lots of sad faces.
Yes. Okay. Judging from her face alone, she reacted like this. Oh no, father's dead. Bummer.
I wonder what's for tea.
Yeah, that's the most. Why? Why doesn't it show a proper facial expression for whatever the context might require? There are such thing as being emotionally subtle, but you still, are aware that they are showing emotions. These guys and gals these characters are completely emotionless. Not only they completely lack substance because they completely spout. You talk to them once, they completely spout their entire life story in one
paragraph.
Monologue. I mean, okay, you're walking down the streets, okay?
Yeah.
You're walking down the streets. Here's an example. You're walking down the streets.
Yeah.
You meet some random guy. Maybe he's wearing some sort of a mask to conceal his facial features because potatoes. and you say something like, "Oh, good morning to you, sir." Say that.
Oh, good morning to you, sir.
And this guy answers like, "I'm wearing this mask because it's symbolic. I'm concealing my identity to conceal because I'm of embarrassment because I can only remove this mask once I regain my honor, and I can only gain my honor by protecting Earth and defeating the space colony. Except they're not the enemies. The real enemies are the ones we are working for. But then I want to unite myself with my sister, but I can do it because I'm ashamed of myself. I have my honor to recover, and all that." And it goes on and on and on and on and on.
And
for 12 hours or so.
And by then, I would have just ran for the hills.
Okay,
Where?
and then that's a G. I'm so glad I didn't ask you for your name.
I'm glad I didn't ask him for directions.
Of course, ironically enough, if they wouldn't be spitting expositions over continuously without any regard for, logical human behavior
And character building and actual
building,
plot.
character develop,
Yeah, character development, character building, plot.
character anything really.
Yeah, because that's the one thing Gundam really lacks in anything. Character.
Yeah, they're not characters. They are
Caricatures.
They're not even that. Caricatures actually have a meaning. They're just exposition shouters. They're like, you go to them, you press a button on their nose, and they start talking in a robotic voice, telling you today Gundam Wing is a show about philosophy and giant robots about philosophy, and then they never stop. And they never stop talking until they run out of batteries. But if they would, the best part is, if they stop talking, you would understand even less because again they lack human expressions. They are faceless and emotionless. Well, it's a compilation of incompetence, really.
Well, I would say that too. It's like going to a museum of the most boringest museum, and that is what Gundam Wing is. That's what Gundam is in general. It's like going to a boring museum.
Well, they managed to make a show with giant robots boring.
How is that even possible?
Leave it to Japanese space operas to figure that out. Gundam Wing, killing the fan out of giant robots since 1995. I mean, even watching Evangelion is more riveting than watching Gundam Wing, and that's saying something because I despise Evangelion. And by the way, in case enough people didn't hate me already,
Yeah.
Evangelion stinks.
I'm jumping on board that train as well.
All aboard the Evangelion stinks train. Choo choo.
Actually, I'm gonna get off this platform because it stinks so bad I don't want to be on it.
It's one of those trains.
Yes.
Somebody has the unfortunate job of reading the circus of all the animal droppings.
Yeah.
Okay, and enough with the low level analogies.
Yes.
Okay, let's talk a little bit about the main characters, shall we?
Okay. Boring guy number 1. Boring guy number 2. They fight.
Yes, and something happens.
Yes, something happens.
Okay, Okay, there's this main character guy. I cannot remember the name to save my life.
Is it Amara Because I don't remember if that was the name or not. Was it? No, it couldn't be Amara
Something like that. But you know what? I'm just going to call him Ken Star.
Actually, that's probably gonna makes more sense than whatever I was trying to think of or remember.
He is this one perpetual super serious expression. I'm just going to call him Ken Star. And there's the female lead, and I'm just going to call her Girl Chan for convenience sake.
That makes
So,
sense.
Ken Star and Girl Chan in Paradise have this lovely dynamic, this lovely, not creepy at all love story going on between them. I mean, Ken Star is like, you get in the way and I'll kill you. And Girl Chan is like, okay, I love you. It was love at first sight. Of course, you couldn't tell that because, their facial expressions wouldn't suggest that. So, of course, they had to tell you that.
So you're trying to tell me that that the main guy, does a line equal to Gomez Adams saying to Morticia, "I sent you anthrax in the mail," and she's loving it.
Well, if that was actually the case, it would be quite hilarious. But again, they lack human emotions. So really, you cannot even laugh at it for the creepy factor of it. But you can laugh. You can laugh really out loud at one of the most idiotic lines I've ever heard in any show ever. Okay.
I'm afraid you're gonna have to refresh my memory there because it's
Okay,
been years since I've heard.
I'll tell you right now. You want to know? You want to know?
Yeah, tell me. I think everyone else wants to know.
Are you sure you want to know? You cannot go back after you hear that.
Oh please, I think I've seen the worst that both the internet and the media has to offer.
Okay, you asked for it. So, on the first somewhere in the first bunch of episodes of the Gundam Wing. By the way, it's like 45 episodes long. That's crazy. Around the first bunch, so we have Girl Chan looking at the sunset while the wind blows her hair romantically, and of course she's monologuing. Of course she is.
Of course, everyone monologues.
Yeah, everyone. I monologue. I myself monologue when I take a shower, when I wake up every morning. Instead of singing. So I wake up this morning. Oh, life is what it is, and life is what life is do, and do is life because I wake up in the morning and I'm cramping. Anyway, she's thinking. She's saying out loud, looking at the sunset, thinking a Ken Star, and saying basically, please come back and kill me. Please come back so that you can kill me.
The most romantic line ever uttered in any media ever.
And that's the fun thing. It was meant as romantic, apparently, but that is the most unintentionally hilarious thing in the entire show, really. Please come back so you can kill me. I love you.
Please bludgeon me to death with the candlestick.
It is so stupid. If the show was like this, it would have been hilarious. Instead,
they play off as serious.
Instead, it's 50 episodes of pure boredom and confusion. Like they introduced a new enemy entity every 5 episodes or so by a very very forced narrator voice. Because of course we don't have enough characters narrating the whole thing. We have to have a voiceover doing that as well, because potatoes. Anyway, so there is this, speaking of the plot, whatever I can remember of it, so, help me out here. There is this space colony who wants independence from Earth domain. Okay?
To be honest, the most I can remember about Gundam was two people have two sets of views, and they slightly disagree with each other. That's all I can remember from it, because it's been years. Yes, I just don't know how to take that. It's like, you know what? You dropped my fork. This means war.
War!
War!
And of course, there is behind the Earth Defense Force, or whatever you want to call it. There is, pardon. There is, of course.
Yeah.
There is, an arms lobby.
Yes, yeah,
Because commentary about war not being good. War is not good because the arms dealers are getting rich of the suffering of the people. Darn. Darn.
Yes, and war is bad, and because, war's bad.
Wow, the poignancy, the subtle satire, the commentary. Wow, how could I not see the brilliance of this show? Oh, Gundam Wing is clearly the most smartest thing ever. I guess really when you have these Gundams flying around in space fighting each other. They might as well have a name tag on them saying, "Hi, my name is I.S. the Smarts.
I are the smarts.
I as the lightsaber of intelligence.
I has cannons that shoots pew pew pews and it makes boom boom booms.
I have a sword that goes swoosh swoosh. Oh, and by the way, war is bad.
And I'm a random girl who wants to be killed by this random guy that I've only just met.
And I am Canstar, and that explains everything."
I'm sorry, I'm just my brain is completely empty just from the sheer brilliance of how we summarized that.
Yes, it was. I'll be honest with you. I actually stopped watching Gundam Wing right after the third half. Show, right around the very necessary recap episodes that only serves to confuse you more.
I'm gonna be extra honest here. The reason I'm quiet most times is because Gundam. Let's see, how do you say it? I was in college at the time and busy with college work stuff, and I randomly catch Gundam once or twice, and I just never got it, and it was bland as hell, and I was just thinking to myself, why does everyone like the show again? And, I just didn't watch it because I'd be spending more of my time better on other anime or other video games, as well as college work at the time, because it's just, I just haven't, how do you put it into words when you feel so neutrally, towards something that you just dislike it, but you
may start feeling like the neutral nation, the neutral alien planet in Futurama. You know that one?
Yes.
It goes, if you don't come back, tell my wife.
I said hello. Yes, that's pretty much.
If I don't come back, tell my wife I was watching Gundam Wing.
So why should an anime that doesn't bother trying to make something interesting for me to get behind characters in the story, for me to give a damn about the action, why should I bother caring if they're not gonna care?
Because Japanese space operas are unfortunately one of those immortal staples of the anime industry that cannot be possibly pulled out of the culture of the cultural influence they had, and they had a huge cultural impact. In fact, the Gundam robot, the main Gundam model, which I cannot remember the name, is so important. It is so idolized by the Japanese. They even built a statue in its honor.
Yes, right in the center of a Japanese town, I believe, or city.
As they only build statues for the greatest icons, like Astro Boy, or Rocky Balboa, or even recently the RoboCop statue in Detroit.
Yeah.
The problem is that it's not. The problem is that it's because really all you need to do to make a successful show, a successful Gundam show, is having the very familiar robots doing battle. Nothing else is really important. You can have a completely ineffectual total mess of a plot that completely writes and rewrites itself every 5 episodes, and it makes no sense. You can have characters that are not really characters. They're just there to spoil exposition and monologuing over monologuing, and completely idiotic and stupid dynamics in between characters, such as that idiotic, completely stupid love story between Ken Starr and Girl Child in Paradise, and you can pass that as a quality entertainment, apparently. But thankfully, they're not all like that. Thankfully, they're just the minority. They're just only one incy-bincy fragment of anime and storytelling in general. But when it does happen, when science fiction goes that route, and I'm not talking just of Japanese, but science fiction in general, that's the moment when I really feel like jumping on the sea and throwing a chair at the screen. Because it pisses me off more than merely anything else, almost. Okay,
I'm gonna say something myself here, because when I told a good friend of mine, who goes by the name of Frobman, who is a really great guy, so check out his stuff if you're just for blatant plugging of my friends. But he basically, he likes Gundam, and I praise him for liking what he likes, and no, he's free to do that. But he told me, as he puts it, Gundam was the one mech show that basically does something different from other mech shows. I don't know whether he meant a particular one, but if that classic is considered something new and different and innovative,
I think I know what he's talking about. You see, the series like Gundam or Macross are actually belong to their own specific genre called the real robot anime. What's the difference between that and the classic super robot anime? The classic super robot anime is basically, monster of the week formula with one giant robot or a group of friends uniting into one giant robots fighting the alien invader week after week. Okay, that's the real robot, the real mecha anime is, again, as I told you, Japanese space opera. So there are, in which technically the robot is not the focus, but the humans are. And the robots are just the tools of war for the humans. And it's all about the story and the humans who live through the war and their struggles, which conceptually speaking, it's something really cool. And you know what show does it right?
Pacific Rim?
It's definitely not Gundam Wing, let me tell you. No, if you want to see what Gundam Wing could have been, if you want to see what Gundam Wing should have been, what really wanted to be, you should watch Code Geass. And forget everything else, really.
Yeah.
And that was just me suggesting an actual mecha show that's worth watching.
Yes, I've not seen it yet, but if Madhog says it's good, then I would take his recommendation.
It has its moments of other stupidity, but other than that, it's Shakespeare with robots, but legitimately so, and with characters that are actually interesting to watch and follow, and intrigues and tragedies, and a plot that for the most part makes sense. That doesn't rewrite itself for every 5 episodes. It doesn't have a single focused element and everything. So yeah, Code Geass is definitely worth checking out.
As for what I was gonna say, that before I got interrupted, sadly.
Sorry about that.
It's alright. But I was gonna say that if that classic Gundam is considered innovative and good and different compared to the old classics of, say, Mazinger Z and, Z. Or
Mazinger Z.
Yeah, Mazinger Z.
Gundam.
Gundam
Wing is nothing new. It has been like that since 1979.
Let's put it this way. Gundam is basically over-glorifying mediocrity at the best.
Or I like to call it pretentious idiocy.
Yes, it pretends to have substance and style when it lacks even any substance, with maybe a tiny bit of style in only...
Not even that. I mean, it cannot even animate faces properly. So, not even that.
So, to be honest, if that is basically the best Gundam mech anime series people can recommend to me, and everyone says it's so epic and stuff, I will dread anyone who watches, say, oh, I don't know, like you said, Code Geass, or something epic like Madhog Box, or even... Oh, frick.
Gurren Lagann?
Yeah, Gurren
I'm telling you, like this, I would take Gurren Lagann open stupidity over Mobile Suit Gundam pretentious stupidity any day.
Yes, I would dread anyone who watches any of those shows that actually do have truly epic moments that basically will move your heart. Those people who probably like over-glorified mediocrity will probably have a heart attack from seeing something so much more... Well, I should...
You were about to say much more better, weren't you?
Yes, much more greater in power of emotion.
There you go, much more greater.
I decided to go, frick it, I'm finishing my thought. I am chucking my microphone out the window.
Yes, I'm not doing that because it is expensive.
Yes, I wouldn't do that too because it cost me a whole 20 quid.
Okay, so in conclusion, Davar, what do you think? What is your overall opinion of Mobile Suit Gundam Wing? Man.
It is the greatest show ever. Now
It is the greatest show ever made, sir. It is so good and smart. It says that war is bad, and it says with giant robots. That has to be that has to be smart, dude. Best show ever.
and apparently, Girl Chan wants to reenact Cluedo.
What?
Yeah, she wants to get killed and then probably want people to investigate how she died from, say, a candlestick to the head or something. Board games reference.
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah, I get you. Yes. Okay, oh gee, I wonder why the mother killed you. Maybe the one guy who was threatening to shoot her every time, And please come, please. Why didn't you come back yet? You're supposed to shoot me last Monday. You're so in love with each other.
Because only true lovers basically shoot each other in the face.
Yes, haven't you watched Bacano? Of course, true love equals I'm going to be the one who kills you.
And if it's in the logic of Fire Emblem Awakening, true love can only exist by killing thousands of enemies before you.
Yes, and also, let's not forget, I watch you when you sleep.
Then I wondered, when would this podcast come to an end?
It has become a bit uncomfortable over the last couple of lines.
Yes, it has. We should.
Okay, I think we should wrap it up before we start. We go 50 minutes long or even more.
Yes.
Okay, so
remember, folks, we think it sucks. You're free to like it, but just be sure, if you try and recommend it to us, we will probably do another one. Just to recommend.
Well, if you're, let me tell you this.
Yeah.
If you have the gall to actually recommend me to watch a Gundam show, any Gundam show for that matter, I'm going to answer you like this. I love you. So, I love you. Thank you for suggesting me that. And to show you just how much I love you, I'm going to send someone to shoot you in the face. Because that's how true love works. According to Gundam logic. That's the best. That's the whole logic coming full circle along with the podcast. That's brilliant. Okay, so this is our opinions of Gundam Wing, and we shall never speak about this ever again, except, Davar, what we should do to actually end this podcast in style.
Yeah?
We should reenact Gundam Wing as if we were Tommy Wiseau. Because it's basically already the room of anime, so oh hi Gundam enemy. Oh hi.
How's your
Gundam
sex
enemy.
life?
How's your sex life? I am fed up with this lifesaver.
Hey, Gundam enemy, want to throw football with me in space?
Yes. You're tearing me apart. You're tearing me apart, Gundam. Literally, I am missing an arm. Everyone
hates me. Everyone hates me.
Everyone betrays me.
And just to reference a very funny Tommy Wiseau line from a YouTube series. Hey, girl-chan, are you bringing me my egg breakfast?
No, I'm bringing you a gun to shoot to your face.
I'm not long for this world.
I am fed up, and I am fed up with Gundam Wing.
And I am fed up with Gundam Wing too. So let's end this podcast.
This has been Madhog.
And I have been Diva.
And remember this. Whenever you are, whatever you may be, do not ever forget. Nostalgia is overrated. Bye.
And take care.